You cannot design for the ideal player. You've got to design your game for the player you actually get. Let's talk about it. Hey there, I'm Brandon. You're watching the ADHD Game Dev channel. I hope you're having an epic day today. Okay, so I have designed a bunch of games. You probably may or may not have heard of them. I've got a bunch of them that are on itch.io right now. I've designed games for mobile, and I designed some games early on in Minecraft, which surprisingly enough actually can work as a game engine. We had a whole bunch of people playing our series, the Islandia, the Blackened Sea series. You can look that up on YouTube right now and you'll probably see them. It's an older thing, but it's cool. So watching people play your game will humble you. It will absolutely break you because players are chaos engines and they don't play the game the way that you play the game. You play the game in a way that tries to avoid any glitches and breaks. They just run. And in some cases, especially when you're designing for Minecrafters, oh my gosh, they run. They just boom, they blast. They have no interest in pausing. They have no interest in reading. They have no interest in not, jumping on everything. What you have to do in every case is to make your game reactive and responsive to what the players are actually doing and what the situation on the ground actually is instead of what it should be. So what I do is I wind up coming into a situation of saying, how is the game responding to the actual situation and not the input? You see what I mean? I'll explain. Some of the situations we have, a player just goes running past a sign. It's a literal road sign. If they're like, oh, I need to find a sign. We watched them. It was crazy. There was a giant bird they were supposed to find called Zizi. And they ran past, whoa, whoa, running laps around the town, running past this sign. And goes, oh, hi, Zizi. Whoa, whoa, whoa. We're like, what the heck are they doing? He goes, I wonder where the heck Zizi is. Whoa, whoa, 3, 4, 5 times. I'm like, they're lost. They literally said, oh, hi, Zizi, and boom, kept going. I'm like, you literally just read the sign, but they kept on running. So how do you deal with that kind of a player? Is it kind of their own fault and they're lost? Yeah, it is. But on the other hand, you have to let players play the game that they want to. They have to play it the way that they want to in their own style, not your game. They're playing their game, not your game. You made the game, but now they're playing their own game, right? Okay, so what I would have to do in that case is to set up a more notable visual destination. We have to spotlight it. We have to really shine a lampshade on it and say, this is your location. And it can't be so fragile that it's just a single sign and a single point of failure. The other thing that we could do in that case, it comes into the idea of sequence breaking or not reading dialogue. People go boom, 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 past and they don't read the dialogue. Okay, we can design around all these behaviors, and it's usually chaotic behaviors or fast behaviors, or they just clicked accidentally too quickly. We're going to let them see the information again a second time. So if an NPC is saying something to them, it's not a one and done, you lost it. They'll say it again when you come back. A sign is obviously already there, but we could do both of them at the same time. So we could have an NPC standing over there that says, hi, do the thing. We could set up a frame, a area for it to where it's notable. If it's not notable enough, the player won't go to it. So if I were to take that object, that bird, and put it up on a raised pedestal and put some feeding troughs around it, they would notice that. I can have a sign that says, go to the right, but if I have an area that looks like the player wants to go to the right, we're now getting into player psychology and we're letting them do what they want to do, and what they want to do is the thing that we want them to do. And once they arrive at the destination, we're going to reinforce it by having an NPC say something about, Zizi is really a big, scary bird. So it doesn't matter if they missed it at the single point of failure, they got to back up on the other time. And if they still run away, they come back, the NPC's got the same line again. Oh, hi, this is a big, scary bird. So we do wind up with crazy players. I had in Fold Up the runner game. You can play that on itch.io if you want to. I love that game. My label is Fold Up Games, as a matter of fact. I changed it because YouTube categorically refuses to let anybody search for Fold Up Games. But here we are. You see, this is a matter of reactive and responsive design. Rather than fighting the situation that we think ought to exist, we respond to reality. So I do that on the channel too. But in Fold Up, the players are going and they're running, and there's a block they're supposed to jump over, and they get to it and they hit the block, they go, okay. And the game restarts. They go, okay. And they hit the block, and the game restarts, and they go, And I'm wondering, I'm like, are they eventually going to push a button? I was baffled. I was amazed. I never in my wildest dreams thought that a player would just go, I'm not going to push a button. I'll just let the thing loop again and just not do anything. So it's remarkable. So what we do is first of all, we have a graceful fail in place for them. That was like the first obstacle, and it was a graceful fail. So if they mess up, it comes and resets really quickly. I thought I did a great job with that, but what I missed out on doing was telling them what to do. So I literally had the game pause. It stopped cold in its tracks right there and said, button. It will not move until they interact. So we have literally stopped them from doing anything. We would talk about the idea of gating players so that they can't go through an area until they've acquired something. In this case, I gated them to require them to push a button. And they still didn't do it. And so I finally had an animated thumb on screen over the button. I went that far. And then they saw the thumb was animated, and so they go, oh, I'll do that. Animated thumb. I'm like, oh my God, I've prompted them the wrong way. And it's amazing. It's amazing because what you're really dealing with over here is player psychology or psychiatry. I don't know which one. You're dealing with player psychology and how you're prompting them, right? So if I have an animated thumb and the game pauses, then they'll see it and they know to copy what it did. But I had it animate on, and so they were literally trying to replicate the behavior, and it was like jump, 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 jump. And I had to design around every single thing that they would do. And I started to learn more about player psychology and to realize that a lot of times I'm a little bit too vague in the way that I approach things. I'm a little bit too open. I want the player to have the satisfaction of discovering things, but I've discovered on my observation of players is that a lot of times they want you to show them what they're supposed to do. If there's an open world, that's fine. Players like it better when there's a path in the open world. You see what I mean? So if there is a path through a forest and they choose to go off track and go through the forest, that's now a player choice. But you need to show them what the correct path is and then give them the option of doing something else. Another option of doing something else that players love to do is as far as sequence breaking. If they go off and they get item B instead of item A and then B, what I have to do in that case is to make sure that my systems are responding, again, to the situation as it is, not as it's supposed to be. Even if it's impossible to get item B, like there's the game I'm working on right now, you're supposed to get, I can't tell you, it'll be spoilers. I can't tell you. You're supposed to get 2 items, and theoretically you can only get them in one order. That doesn't mean that I only have dialogue for just that, right? The ideal thing to do is to have dialogue for either side of, you got the thing, you need the first thing too, and we'll talk. So we have responsive dialogue that reacts to whether they've got one or both. At the beginning of the game, there's a quest of calming down a bunch of panicked pill bugs. You should play this. This is Tiny, the Last Wayfinder, which is on Steam, coming up real soon. But as of right now, you can wishlist it, and there's a demo. I have good conversion rates, by the way. It's 50% conversion rates on the demo. People wishlist it, so they must like it. That's good. My way of coding responsiveness is like for the pill bugs, there's 5 of them that you have to calm in order to complete the quest. So I don't say you calm 5 and you complete the quest. I would say if there is greater than 4 that are calmed. You see what I mean? There are greater than 4 that are calmed is not the same as saying equal to 5. I don't know how they're going to manage to calm down 7 pill bugs. There's only 5 to do it. But if I goof up and there's something that doesn't reset in the code and maybe it's keeping track somewhere and I missed it, I want to make sure that I am being graceful to myself and my own glitches, and I could put in a failsafe to say if it's greater than 5, then it equals 5, or I could just say greater than 5 equals complete, okay? So greater than 5 is our complete state. So we're dealing with players sequence breaking. We're dealing with players who are somehow managing to go beyond the scope of what they're supposed to. We're just dealing with it as it comes because players are chaotic. Sometimes it's on purpose, sometimes because they're just messing with you, sometimes just because they just want to see if they can break it, and sometimes just because they're just impatient and that's just how they play. I tend to make games that are rewarding patient, calm players, but I got to admit, I don't always want to be patient and calm in a game. Sometimes I just want to run. Another thing they'll do is hitting buttons really fast. Boom, 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 right? Like imagine menu buttons, open menu. Okay, if a player is opening a menu and it has a nice animation, bloom, because that's polish, right? Little bloom, and then they hit close and it closes. Bloom. What happens if they hit it in the middle of it? Right? If you have timed out your menus to where they only react after the animation, then you're not being responsive to the player input, right? You need to say, if they push the button to say open, then your state now equals open. It doesn't matter if it's still animating, the state equals open, right? If they push it again, the state equals closed. So now your behaviors in the game should be responding to that. It doesn't matter whether it should be animated open or not. If they've pushed it again, then it just better stop doing what it's doing and close. It doesn't matter if it has just a small little, they're opening and they close it and it goes pop, pop. It doesn't matter. They'll do that all day because I think it's funny. As long as the game is responding to that chaotic interaction, you're fine. But don't code it in such a fragile way that it has to finish the animation before it's finished. Players hate that, by the way. If there is a intro sequence and they don't want to watch it, you shouldn't make them watch it. Let them skip it. Boom. Hit a button. I'm out of here. I don't care. Was it the best intro sequence ever? Yes. Did it set up the spirit of the world? You bet. Did it have important story? Oh, yes. Are they going to miss out on the game? Yes, they'll miss out on the game. But do you know what? At the end of the day, it's them playing the game. And if they want to miss everything, skip all of your beautiful dialogue and just run through it like a maniac, that's the way that they're approaching the game. They're not playing it the right way, but we're dealing and we're designing for players who play it in their own way. Okay. So I think that at the end of the day, what I'm really getting at is that players will break your game. They'll either do it on purpose or they will find some glitch that you manage to not know about. And being responsive in the way that you code stuff is critically important. In my game, I've got kill zones in areas that you're not supposed to. The sprites aren't the forest sprites aren't supposed to be able to swim. But if you drop into a river and you don't hit the kill zone, what's going to happen? I need to code it in a reactive way to where if they clip through the ground, in fact, it will reset them. And I need to check my kill zones too. But I need to have code that says if you are somehow lower in the universe than you're supposed to be, then we'll reset you to a good position. Having a safe fallback is really great. I've got a button right there in the menu options that says checkpoint, and it'll take them back to the last good checkpoint. So it doesn't matter what's happened, what's gone wrong, where they're stuck, where they're lost. It will click them right back to the last good checkpoint. So we will let the player have a chance to gracefully approach any kind of a fail state or a glitch state, or they're lost, or I messed up, or the game broke, or who knows what. There's always a fine, get me back to a safe spot. So that's a great way to do that. So what we're doing is that we're designing for reality-based outcomes. And at the end of the day, it's very reactive in nature. Anyway, that's what I have learned so far. I am not here to tell you that I am the expert. I am surprised at how little I know on the regular basis, but I have watched enough players playing my games to where I've just been like, oh, wow, amazed at the number of things that they can break. As soon as somebody plays your game, they'll break it. I promise you. The second you take your hands off the keyboard and you say, hey, try my game, they'll break it. They'll break it in ways that you won't even see coming. So the best thing to do is to watch the number of ways that they can break it and try to design around it and try to design for graceful recovery paths for when it breaks. All right? I hope that helps you. I hope you found this fun. I hope you found this upbeat and encouraging. Please subscribe and, check out the game at Steam. I hope that you'll do that. And as always, be awesome today. Bye, everybody.